She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties. So do you bring another boy in? Do you bring another guy in?
We are embarrassing the hell out of her.
I'm like, people are going to be so mad at me.
That face says no.
I shortened it because I didn't want to get too crazy.
It's weird, and I don't know what to do with myself.
Unnecessary interjections by Molly.
Buy the fucking book, yo. Okay, I didn't behave all the way, but I behaved
a little bit, but we do have a guest today, so thank you for behaving a little bit.
I know. I mean, I did flip you the bird while we were giving her instructions, so.
What the fuck, you did? I missed that.
You were really...
What the fuck? I feel attacked!
By my co-host that I agreed to have a show with!
It's not even just that you're my co-host, Molly. I chose you as my best friend. That's where I really went wrong. I don't know that I actually did make that choice. You kind of just decided, we're friends now.
I'm a barnacle. I really, truly am. It just happens one day. When Hillary comes on next year, she will tell you the same exact story about how I just said we're friends now, and that's how it went down.
That's how introverts make friends. Okay, let's talk to our new friend here. So we have a guest, everybody.
Great.
We have a guest, everybody. We have an author with us again this week. This is Kendra Thomas. She is the author of the Granted series, which is a YA series. Oh my gosh, look at the covers. If you're watching us on YouTube, we're definitely going to talk about these covers later.
God.
Oh, the gorgeousness.
No, this one. Look at this one. Holy shit, dude.
Fucking beautiful. All right.
Fuck. Okay.
Kendra.
It's not just covers, man. It's not just covers.
Welcome to our podcast. Molly.
Thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be here. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
So we're really excited to have you. So if you haven't seen Kendra's videos, she's on Instagram. Are you also on TikTok, Kendra? I found you on Instagram.
I am on TikTok.
Yes, she's also on TikTok. So we will put her username below.
In the thingamabobs.
In the description. That's the word. Words. But I saw her videos. They made me laugh. I was like, this girl is cool. I want to read her books. So I messaged her. And she agreed to come on the podcast. And now here she is.
Yes. Hello. I'm here.
So you have some very exciting news about something happening next month. So what's the really cool thing happening next month for you?
Oh, well, the next book is going to be close to coming out, I guess. That's kind of my big news recently.
In November, right?
Yes, November.
Right, yeah. So
is that Kindle or is it Kindle and paperback?
Kindle and paperback. It'll
Nice.
be available, I think, in pretty much everything if I can get it there.
And
Nice.
And it is the final book in the Granted series?
Yes. Yes, it is.
That face says no.
Why do I not believe you?
No, it
is.
It is, but like,
where's the poop, Robin? Where's the poop?
It is the last that, unless I decide to write like side novels, but the Granted series, Sarah's story is done. I just don't know if I'll ever dabble back in the world again or not. It's still up for discussion.
So the storyline is done, but you're unsure of the future of the world, is what you're telling us.
Yes.
So you're going to pull a Game of Thrones on us? Is that what I'm hearing? We're going to go really far into the future or really far into the past?
Well, Granted would be really far into the future if I ever wrote anything. So it would be something like that, which is kind of weird to think about, but...
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I love that. But so we're going to talk more about the first book in the series today, but we're also going to talk about what people can expect from the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And Molly, tell us about Piper's reaction to this book.
Oh my God. You don't even know. So I listened to the audiobook first.
Oh.
Cool. And I blew through it. There are two reactions for me with audiobooks.
Yeah.
It's either I slow roll it and I drag it out as long as possible, or I consume it as soon fast as I quickly can. I finished this book in 2 days for me.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty damn quick.
And that's not because she was like doing it at like 1.5 speed. It was just because she couldn't stop reading it. I had the same reaction. I was reading the ebook, and when I finished it, I actually messaged Kendra on Instagram, and I was like, the second book won't download to my Kindle because my Kindle is really old and it won't accept updates, and I'm so mad about it.
Well, I ordered the first book for Pod, like, because
we show off the cover, right? Yeah,
I want it. It is mine now. This is a treasured thing. And I go, Piper, this is amazing. It's the selection, but it's not the selection. But it's Hunger Games, but it's not the Hunger Games. And she goes, huh? And I go, and like, kind of magic? And she's like, what? And I go, here. Just
read it.
And just here. And she took it, and the next morning she goes, I finished it. And I had just woken up. I was making the coffee. It was 10:30 in the morning on Sunday. And I go, Piper Biggs, how could you have finished this book? I gave it to you before bed last night. I go, did you stay up all night and read it? And she goes, oh no, I was up at 6. I finished it this morning.
Yeah, I mean.
Whoa.
And she knows everything. Like, I ran her through it. Like, I ran her through the whole story. Homegirl, like, loved it. She was obsessed.
Good.
Yeah, I
she's your demographic though. Like, she's who you want obsessed with it. You need those little. You need them to be like the Twiharts, right? Like, that's who you need.
Yeah, it's funny because whenever we have like, so Kendra, you are the second author that we've had on here, and the question is always, what if we don't like their book? Like, what do we do to like, not be dicks about the fact that we like ask them to do this favor for us, and then like we don't like the book. I texted Molly after the second chapter, and I was like, "We don't have a problem. Don't worry. This is awesome."
And look, we had this interaction with Francesca Zappia. Most authors like feedback as long as it's constructive.
Yeah.
Not just, I think that character's stupid and why would you do that to them? If I go, hey, I think X, Y, and Z in this chapter is this because of X, Y, and Z, and that didn't make sense to me as a reader, the author will be like, oh, I can see what you're saying. There's a difference between like, oh, this is so stupid. No, this doesn't happen during this time frame. There is a difference between being a villain towards an author and just being constructive, I think, personally.
Yeah. What she means is that when I give feedback, it's very unkind. And when she gives feedback, it's more sensitive.
That's not true.
Molly,
I'm also the author, though.
Exactly.
I'm also the author here.
Exactly.
So I'm here, I'm here as defender of the book, but I'm also a defender of the process. Like, sometimes shit goes sideways when we're writing. Like, you lucked out. This book is fucking fantastic. But
I don't know about that, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It was so good.
But it could have gone. You created a world that could have turned sideways on you.
I mean, world building isn't easy. We're going to talk a little bit more about world building in a bit. Oh my gosh, words. But Molly and I just have a different perspective because, like, Molly is a writer, whereas my job is to literally recommend books to children. And if it's not worth it, I'm not going to say, hey, here's this book by this author just because I know them. Like, I don't do that. Yeah. Okay. So I think maybe because here we are again, Molly, almost 10 motherfucking minutes into the episode. We could
I'm guilty of
we
talking.
could actually maybe stop fangirling over our guests for a minute and like actually talk about this book. So
we are embarrassing the hell out of her, like two aunts.
I know, it's awesome.
We're so proud of you that we haven't seen you since your college graduation, and we're so proud of you, Kendra.
Thank you for this book. So we actually asked Kendra if she would do the synopsis for her book, since she wrote it. And so she's going to do a synopsis for us, and then we'll get into the questions. So, Kendra?
Okay. Sabera Igoviel, Princess of Avladon, wants nothing more than for her heart to glow. The stone-hearted power that is received at the age of 18 is her ultimate wish. With the grim curse looming over the realm and in neighboring kingdoms conspiring plans, contentions arise. Moments of danger summon evil forces, sending Sabera into a whirlwind of adventure, captivity, and even love. I shortened it because I didn't want to get too crazy, but that's basically it.
That's good.
We get into it. As always, gang, we do spoilers, especially when we're talking about a book that has been out. So, as the Book Besties all know, we're reading this book, a book that has been out for a long while.
And we have been promoting it for the past 2 weeks and telling you to go buy it.
So if you want to read this and not hear any spoilers, go read it, come back, please.
Go read it and then come back to this episode.
We're love you. Goodbye. Shoo. On to the questions, April. Thank you, love.
Damn, Molly.
I'm like efficient today. It's weird, and I don't know what to do with myself.
I'm sure.
Shut up, April.
All right, so I want to thank you for the map and the pronunciation guide. So first of all, Molly and I love a map in a book. We love it. It's
good.
Oh,
yeah. I'm so glad.
And the pronunciation guide was really helpful. I kind of guessed how to say Sabera's name, but the kingdom I really struggled with. So say it again for me.
Yes. Avladon.
So I was saying Avladon. So Avladon.
There are some weird words in here.
You know what's interesting though? That's one of the reasons when I read like high fantasy or fantasy that has a lot of like different words in it, I like the audiobook because then I know like this is how it was supposed to be said. Yeah. And Molly got that.
Especially for dyslexics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Molly is dyslexic. If you're just joining us, she listens to audiobooks. We love audiobooks. This book is available as an audiobook. So if you're an audiobook reader, go find it.
Yeah.
Unnecessary interjections by Molly.
And then it vanished.
All right. So I saw in your author's note that your dad drew the map. So I was wondering if you could talk more about that.
So my dad's like an artist and he's always kind of been artsy like that. And at the time that I did, granted, I didn't really have access to digital. I don't think I knew how to get access to a digital map art maker. Right. And so I just asked my father, I was like, hey, would you be willing to do this? And he drew it up and we just scanned it in. It was super simple, not anything crazy, but I actually ended up liking the simplicity of it. And so I had him do book 2's map as well. And
which I've already looked at and I was like,
yeah, that one's good. And the third one, he actually has made up, but he didn't get it in time. So I actually need to switch them out so they can all match, but he has done most all of them.
That's
and he's just, I just had him do it because it was the easiest thing. If I ever did a fantasy book in the future, I probably would have a digital artist do it. Yeah. Not because he just doesn't know how to do that digital art. It's literally you drew it on a piece of paper and then scanned it into the computer. But I was really grateful. I think it's kind of fun to have him involved. He likes to be involved like that. So I just let him do it. And I liked him. So
he gets to have like an impression on the world forever because he's in print forever because that's kind of cool.
It's kind of fun.
We need to introduce her to Chezzy and have Chezzy draw maps.
Francesca Zappia. I'd like to ask. So the names. There is a lot of
crazy
names on here, girl.
Yeah.
I think there's some things that I think
am I, April?
Nope, that was actually part of this question. So you're
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, April. I'm sorry.
I feel like I would change some of them now, though. Like they're pretty crazy.
How did we get there?
How long ago did you write the book? When was the first one published?
2020.
Oh, okay.
2020. So first one was like very beginning of 2020.
Okay. But was that your first draft?
No. No. This book 1 didn't even exist for the longest time. It was book 2 where everything started.
Oh.
So book 1, I was like trying to tell a story from book 2. And then I was like, something comes before this. What comes before this? And I figured it out and then probably rewrote this draft like 100 billion times. But
so you started in the middle and grew out.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about that, but let's talk about the story some more. I want to talk about the process of that.
Yes.
Sorry, April. You get to your question, love. I'm sorry. I'm being rude.
Stop interrupting, Molly. Damn it. The question was about the names. So,
yes.
like, for me, when I read some of these names, there seems to be, like, real-world elements to it. Like, gosh, I forgot her name. Mid-sister.
Liony. Oh, not Lion. Sorry, Ambrosen. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's Char's sister. Whoa!
I was like,
look at me. Not even knowing my characters.
I'm like, that's not right.
Ambrosen, yeah.
So like some of these things like almost sound like elements, or they could be like.
So like that name, I will admit, came from like Ambrosia.
Okay.
That's kind of the vibe that I wanted for it. A lot of the names though changed like last minute. They weren't always this way. Like Liony's name they were kind of kid names because I actually started writing the whole series when I was like 12.
Oh, so, wow.
A long time was in the making.
Jessie,
so they transformed a ton.
It's a thing. All authors are like that.
Yeah. It's crazy. But like Liony used to be Storm, but I thought they were too cheesy of like kid names. And so I was just like, these are definitely Storm. From my childhood mind. So I changed up a lot of them. But yeah, some of them I can't even tell you where they came from. Sabera was definitely something I would role play as a kid. I would just like, whenever we did like Playhouse or something, that was the name. So that transferred over. And then the name Mid comes from my dad actually made the name Medenin. And I kind of adopted it when I would like write because I thought it was so good because my dad writes as well, actually. So he's just pretty artistic and I always have just kind of idolized what he does. So I think it kind of came over and I just started using it and he was like, okay, you can use it in the series. So I've just kind of adopted them from all over the place and they've switched and changed and all sorts of stuff.
You know, it's funny. So this is me, the English teacher. Okay, so I'm a librarian now, but I used to be an English teacher. So when I hear Mid's name, I'm like, that is such a great metaphor for him being stuck in between two worlds, right? So he's like stuck between not really wanting to be spoiler prince, or he wants to sort of be able to do his own thing, but he's got that obligation. He's stuck between loving Sabera and being engaged and betrothed to her sister. Oh my gosh, Jasper, thank you. And like he's just stuck in the middle, and I was like, that's just such a good metaphor right there.
I know. When you like, that's crazy that you say that because it's just like that's not what crossed my mind.
So you know what's funny?
It's cool that he did.
You know what's funny?
This all the time.
John Green has a whole like video about English teachers and metaphors, and he's like, "That's just not what I meant. I wrote what I meant. I didn't mean."
That's so funny. He's amazing. He's incredible.
Yeah,
John Green every season
until he's on
the pod.
Oh wow, yeah,
that's a whole thing.
I'm obsessed with him. He's like my favorite author.
He's so
legit obsessed, and so. We've read his books, and I'm manifesting him on the pod.
Yes, he's awesome. So
if it happens, that's the day I die.
Yeah,
I die now.
Oh, that's so good though.
So, all right. So let's go to the next question. Oh, I also like that Sabera, like the name Bear, Little Bear, and then like Mid's, like he doesn't have a horse, he has a bear.
Yeah, right. I know the chances of that. I'm. Oh man. Sometimes I wonder what
I kept forgetting it was a bear too, because the bear is like just like so
a bear.
It's so docile, like it's like, you know, it listens like a horse, but it's a motherfucking polar bear.
Yeah, right.
No big deal.
What is happening? No big deal. And
whatever.
All right, so when we first meet Sabera, we learn that she is unlike her sister. She is not beautiful or reserved. She's also not stone-hearted, right?
No.
Right. And so can you explain to us what stone-hearted is and why it was important that Sabera did not fit that typical princess mold?
Okay, yeah. So with the stone-hearted, it's like their race of people. So the stone-hearted people. And basically they get the name because when they turn 18, they get a power. And that power is granted to them through the tree.
Yeah.
and then their hearts will change a different color. But if you remember from chapter 2, it's kind of way in the beginning. Jasper goes to get her heart, like her granting thing, to get her power, and they lay stones at her feet.
Right.
So the stones have a huge connection to the tree.
Okay.
But all of the stuff with the stone-hearted gets really, like, you understand it a lot. Like, the whole thing gets revealed kind of in book 2 more. Like, it breaks it down, the entire mechanics of it all. But I just barely hint at it because I didn't want it to be too confusing at the beginning, and even I was trying to understand it even when I was writing it, I think.
Right, yeah.
But like, I knew you're making a thing up.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I know it has something to do with the stones and the tree, and their hearts turn different colors depending on the stone. But you don't really understand that whole thing until book 2 all the way. You kind of like get the gist when you're like, okay, the tree grants them powers and their hearts are different colors. Cool. But like, that's kind of like their hearts literally change to stone and they glow, and there's different stones, and you learn about those different stones in book 2 and what they do and things like that. So
there are the powers in the stone hearts, then they're like the colors.
So that's the other thing that gets revealed in 2 as well, because it says from the beginning that, like, okay, if you have a gold or you have a silver, it means you have like a more powerful power, right? Like, it's like, oh, they're super cool. But like, I don't want to give like too much stuff away because it would like, I don't know. I don't know how spoiler you guys want me to like be.
Go ahead. We've already warned people.
It's up to you because you're the author, but we've already got the books. We're going to keep reading.
Okay, yeah. So
we're going to read either way. You tell us.
Basically, the whole color system, like it means. How do I explain this without like, because you guys haven't gotten to some of the points yet, but basically when their hearts change and they gain, has nothing to do with how powerful they are. Somebody just decided that if you had a gold heart and you have a silver heart, that you're more powerful, and it has something to do with evil people wanting the gold and the silver to be above everyone. So it has absolutely nothing to do with like certain powers. Yeah, but it was created from a long time ago, and so everyone's like worships these kings and queens that have these gold and silver hearts, but you could have a silver heart and your power could be super simple. It has nothing to do with that.
So that sort of reminds me of like of the book series Red Queen, which is like the silver bloods are better.
Yeah, but they're not better.
They're not better.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. So it's like, okay,
gosh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
It gets unveiled why and all the reasons why, but like she doesn't question it because she's been her whole life. That's just what it is.
Well, it's the history, right?
Yeah, and she's like, oh, this is just life. It's like we don't ask ourselves why our hearts beat, and you know what I mean. It's just like we have to learn the science behind it. She finally meets the person that breaks it down for her, and then she just sits there and she's kind of like, wait, what? And she's like, this doesn't seem right, and it's not, because basically
everything she's been told was a lie.
Yeah, and it actually gets worse because in book 4 even more stuff gets really unveiled. Dude! And like the lying is, when you say everything's a lie, literally like that's the epitome of the whole thing. So it just like kind of it's really bad. Like I'm like obsessed. People are going to be so mad at me because the last like 10 chapters of Ascended just breaks everything apart. Like everything that we worked for, boom, just like gone. And everyone, it's just really it's kind of crazy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
about hate when it comes to authors.
Yeah. How is she not stone-hearted? She's has two stone-hearted people or parents,
so they're mortal. Everyone's just born mortal until they get that chance to be granted by the tree. So she's just a regular, ordinary human right now, and everybody is. She just wants to become that. I guess they don't become that race until they actually get granted. They're just mortal.
Is that an age thing?
18,
yes, 18.
Is it 18? Okay.
So they get that ability to control. Because I feel like I wanted him to be an adult, so because I feel like in a society kind of like giving your driver's license, they have to learn to understand their power. So they got to be old enough to think, okay, I got to control this.
Yeah.
Because like they could be granted at a younger age, but I just think that I made it in my head like 18, they're old enough. It would be adulthood.
Right.
I just wanted it to kind of have that cliche young adult vibe where they turn 18 and they get it. I don't know. Like when I was younger, that was cool.
They're given this power that they have to figure out. It's a metaphor for life. It's a metaphor for adulthood.
I mean, I love that. There are a lot of YA books that's like the thing, right? Yeah. So there's something that you're waiting for. And like the fantasy world, you've got things like the Uglies series where you turn pretty at 16. You've got, I mean, and then it could be something as simple as turning 16 to get your driver's license, like turning 18 and graduating. Like I totally feel that vibe. And I'm excited now that you've said that the fourth book is like going to break it all down. Like that makes me feel like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get there. Because I love it. I love it when an author builds something up and it's just like, burn it.
Magic. Yes.
Here you go. Burn it.
Because it seems so simple, like the first book's very simple. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, this is cute. And I'm like, well, I grew as an author too, to tell the capacity, like my capacity to tell the story also grew.
Right.
And then it like, I don't know. It's
developed from
gets
there.
Better. It gets a lot better. That's for sure. I can tell you that right now. I'm not.
Well, I mean, I think that your story is a good story.
Yes.
Like, and this is something that like, I know you keep saying that you've grown as an author, and that's awesome. I'm happy for you, and I haven't read the other books to confirm, but like this is something we believe you. This is something Molly and I have talked about a lot. When you have a good story, you can have a book published, you can sell a book, you can have followers. The story is what matters. It's not necessarily the writing. And you can see that with a lot of writers who grow through their series. And the only exception to this is 50 Shades of Grey, which is just complete garbage.
Yes.
It's the only book that we judge you for reading.
Yes.
We want you to read. I mean, if you want to read it, go ahead.
We're just going to judge you for it.
Look at you and snide a little look of it.
But I like the idea. I like the idea that she's not the typical, right? So this is, you get the Katniss Everdeen, right? She doesn't fit the mold. She's not pretty. She's not the reluctant hero. And then she's the one that's going to rise up. And that's exactly what you get in Sabera, right? So she's the reluctant hero. She's the one that needs to be saved. Literally needs to be saved in the first book. Literally.
Yeah.
She's such a
and then, oh my gosh. I'm jumping ahead, but
no, it's okay.
That final image of her coming out of the fire, rising up like a phoenix. She's like, ah! I'm like, yes!
I know. It was fun. It was definitely fun.
Piper goes, she turned herself into Megara. And I go, what do you mean? And I go, she goes, in Hercules, I'm a damsel, I'm in distress. Have a good day. Like, she's like, yeah, I know I'm in trouble, but I'm going to figure this shit out on my own. Like, she's Megara.
I love that. That's a great analogy.
Yeah,
way to go, Piper.
Good. Look at you.
All right, Sabera's
she's smarter than all of us.
I mean, well, that's probably true. Sabera is kidnapped by someone she thought she could trust. She is taken to an enemy kingdom, and her life is threatened until we meet our hero / love interest, Mid, who comes to save the day. I want to talk about Mid's like motivation to save her for a moment.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know why he's where he is. Okay, how do you say obscurum?
Oh, obscurum, yes. So, yeah, it's very discreet, but he says to her that he's going to see a friend, right? He's like, you stopped me. I saw that you were getting taken, and so I stepped in because he's on his way, and he's on his way to Severacy. So the town that they're actually in is a Severacy town, but it's like abandoned. So it's not Obscurum. Obscurum's there, but they're meeting up with Severacy because they're trying to alliance with each other.
So it's a bandit camp.
Yeah, it was like an abandoned camp. So they were just like meeting up there. And anyway, he just happened to be going through to Islecaster to meet with Citadel, and she's there. And he was like, well, I gotta save her, because Mid's not gonna just let some girl
he's not
get
a dick.
Taken. Yeah, exactly. But he says it, and he's like, oh, I'm on a way to meet a friend, and I need to go see this friend before I take you home. So that was why he ended up there.
And then they do go see the friend. Okay.
Yes, they go and see him. Yeah. But then Yeah, so I feel like it's not overly mentioned, so I think sometimes it can get confusing, but it is mentioned briefly that like he is going that direction. But what I failed to do, like this is something I genuinely, if I could go back and rewrite the book, was explain a little bit more about his reasoning for going to see Sid. But I mean, he does go to see Sid to find out if the curse is real or not. He's like, I need to know if this curse is real. But why he needs to know the curse is real or not is because we know he's getting betrothed to Jasper. He wants to.
Did he know then?
Yes,
he was getting betrothed.
Yes, so he knew that he was going to get betrothed, so he needed to tell his parents, like.
So he kissed the girl, and he knew he was betrothed.
Well, he knew he was going to be. His parents were talking about it, and so he was trying to get them to talk them out of it, because he was thought if the curse wasn't real, if the curse wasn't real, then he could tell his parents, "Oh, we don't need to alliance with this kingdom because we have no threat." Right. The whole reason they're alliancing is because there's this huge
threat
thing going on with the curse and wars and all this stuff, and he's just like wanted his parents believe in the curse, so he was trying to go to Sid to get the answer that no, it's not real, and so he could go home and say, hey, it's not real and we don't need to be doing this. Like, why are you guys forcing me to marry this person? But I don't think it was very, very solidified. And I think they were just like broaching this idea, and he just wanted to see if he could get out of it, which is kind of one of the reasons I think he was going there. But if I could rewrite the book again, I would put a little bit more of that in there when she talks to him again, when they meet each other again, and have him be like, I was going there to see if I could just get out of it.
Eventually, HBO, Netflix, in 20 years are going to be at your doorstep asking for this. Just remember that and add it in. And then thank us in the credits for telling you to do that.
I know there's stuff with it that, like, obviously I wish I could go change, but I wrote it so long ago, and you don't think everything through all the way. And so
haven't you read something you wrote when you were like in high school and middle school, and you're reading through your writing journals and you go, God, that was stupid. I would have wrote, right? Like, it's
just inevitable. So I kind of accepted it.
I think you did a good job explaining other things, because when he is betrothed to Jasper, I texted Molly and I was like, this doesn't make sense to me, because wouldn't Sabera be the one he'd be betrothed to? He's going to be king. Jasper's going to be queen. And then I was like, oh, he has an older sister. So like that part never, like, we didn't know that right away. And so I was like, oh, why? And then I was like, oh, because there's an older sister. Yeah. So that made sense. He needs a crown. And I was like, right there, she got it. It was on it.
Yeah. It thankfully it somehow came together in a semi-coherent way. So that's just thankful it kind of
made sense to me.
Made sense to me. All the other people that buy it on Amazon.
I make up for it a little bit in the other books. I definitely pull myself together more and give you guys all the info, at least eventually. The whole series, once you've read it all, you'll understand it all.
Yeah, but that's what makes the series a good series.
That's kind of the point. I mean,
you're not writing books like transitional readers that are for kids that are like third graders, that each book is a different story and you don't have to read them in order. You're writing an entire series that it's supposed to build upon each other. So if you gave us all the answers in the first book, we wouldn't want to read the other 3.
Exactly. It's kind of why I kept it. I was like, there's a whole 4 books I can explain all this to you guys.
Yeah.
But I had some people get really upset with me about like even mentioning characters that I didn't bring back. But I was like, there's 4 books. They will come back. You just need to wait a second.
There's going to be new people, and there's going to be stuff. My world can't stay in the same place. You can't write a trilogy on sitting in a small town. You can't release a series on staying in the same place. You have to move around. You have to divulge.
And you're not ever going to please every single reader that you have. You know?
That too.
It's like I said.
Do you know Discovery of Witches?
Oh,
did you see? Okay, did you see the way the fandom lost their shit when Gallowglass got casted? Like, they lost their mind over the actor when he got cast.
Yeah,
so like, you're never gonna. I mean, every fandom has that. Like, every fandom gets mad.
People were really mad about Jennifer Lawrence getting cast as Katniss,
and she's perfect. Like,
you're never. Gosh. Well, she's probably too tall and too pretty to be Katniss, but and arguably, what's his name? Who played Peeta?
Josh Hutcherson.
He's too short to be Peeta, but I can't picture anyone else.
Yeah,
no,
I can't picture anyone else.
I mean, I can think of 7 things I've written that I'm like, oh, I gotta fucking check it out because that sucks. Like,
Molly makes me so angry. Molly makes me so angry. She started writing this romance novel and has me hooked on it, and she hasn't even touched it since she sent me like the first few chapters. And I'm like,
it's really good too. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, okay, well then fuck you too then, okay?
It's really good. No, I actually was thinking about it the other day. I'm behind on like house stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't read it in a while.
We also got kind of behind on our pod obligations. So like we had this conversation with you, Kendra, before, because you're an independent author. So what you're doing, you're not necessarily getting the same turnaround that an author that has an agent and a publishing house is. It's the same thing for us. Like, we aren't being paid for this. And so, you know, I work a full-time job, but we also have an obligation to the people who do consume our content, just like you do to your readers. Exactly. And so you have to really be passionate about it to stick with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have to be passionate about
definitely.
But I mean, have confidence too. People get it. Yeah. They get it.
Well, and I'm glad there are some that are willing to stick through the rough first book to the rest of them because, you know.
I've read terrible novels. I have read some terrible novels. This is not a terrible novel. For this terrible novels. Times best-selling terrible novels.
Listen, the book The Lost Apothecary, I'm going to say it again. That is the worst book I think I've read well, my whole life. That award goes to the mayor of Casterbridge, but it is really, really bad. We read that book this year and then filmed our episode, and it didn't record properly.
It's cursed.
And so I read that entire awful book for no fucking reason.
Oh.
And so like, we've read some bad things for here. This is not one of them. Oh. All right, so let's talk about world creating, because we talk about world building a lot in here. And like in our first season, we did 2 episodes for Harry Potter. Molly, is that right? Did we do 2 or we did 3? 2,
I think.
I am not a fan of Harry Potter, and one of the reasons I don't like it is because I actually don't think that J.K. Rowling did a very good job world building. I know people don't believe me, but whatever. So I want to talk about world building because I think that you did a good job world building here. I
agree.
And so I kind of wanted to know what your process was for building like these separate kingdoms, like how you came up with the differences and things. Like what kind of inspired you?
Well, they've kind of always existed in my head because as a kid, I would always like literally we would act out scenes when I was young. And we would always, I had friends.
I love that.
I know it's kind of weird, random, but it helped me develop the book immensely. Mm-hmm. And it used to just be one kingdom. Like it was actually Avalon. Like I loved the whole King Arthur vibes with Avalon.
Right. Yeah.
So it was always like one kingdom for the longest time. And then I knew that there needed to be a bad kingdom, and Obscurum just sounded so dark and dim, and so Obscurum was created, and I was like, oh, and then the whole world just kind of that stuff just started slowly coming together, and I knew there needed to be separate kingdoms because there would be like the severance between them all, and it has to do with the curse and how they're not supposed to be divided. And anyway, that's kind of how, and I wanted them to all have like different like climates. I just wanted that difference so I could write in one and have a different setting and then jump in another one, and it felt different. So it literally, their realm, like you'll read in some of the other books, like there's like a line, like a literal like line where like if you pass over it, it's snowing over here, and you pass over here, it's hot. Mm-hmm. So it's literally a magical like realm. But
now, is that climate or magic based?
It's magic based. It's definitely magic based. But it's not really explained all that like much why that is.
That's not the big problem right now.
Yeah, book. Exactly. And so like if I don't
that's not a big picture problem right now.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be super intense high fantasy. It's just supposed to be light, and the readers just kind of have to go along with it and say, okay, that's the way it is. Mm-hmm. I don't get into the mechanics of everything super deep because that's not what I really intended. It's just supposed to be a magical universe, But if I write a high fantasy book, I could potentially get really deep on why that is. But like, that's just the way it is right now. That's how the world is like.
No, it's great.
But it's just kind of how it works. There's snow and there's jungle climate, and then there's a really sandy portion, and then I liked the forest, very neutral climate. So yeah, that's kind of, I just wanted it all, and I think I just kind of mixed it all together, and
so
there
we're
we have
playing through all the stages of Animal Crossing, like all
yeah.
the
Well, yes. And each book takes you into a different part of the map, and parts of the map that you don't even know about right now. So like there's hidden kingdoms and islands you don't know of, and things that happen, and there's like a whole half of the book on a ship at one point, so there's lots of things, and I liked to have all of the different areas and settings, so I could, because I get bored. If I was just in Ableton the whole time, I would have died. I would have been like, no, I gotta shake it up a little bit.
What would the story be there? There just wouldn't be like
nothing.
The sisters continue to fight. Like
yes, how boring. I was like, get me out of that castle, just like Sabera was like, get me out of here. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this book is YA fantasy, which I absolutely love. We both do. We both love YA fantasy. All right. There's also a love triangle, which Molly does not love, but I love.
I don't think it's. Okay. It's not a love. Okay, I don't think it's a love triangle.
Okay, it's not.
It's a diamond.
It's a diamond. It's not.
The diamonds. It's a diamond. It's a diamond. There's 4 of them.
So
the
things. Oh.
So I thought the love triangle would be between like Sabera, Mid, and Ollie. Like I was like, oh, he's gonna become a love interest, even though he's like standing there like watching her get dressed, which is super
it's
freaky,
Mid,
like a child.
Sabera, Ollie, and
Jasper's in the mix, so like
Jasper.
They are strictly friends, and I know
Ollie
and Sabera.
Okay, but you know what?
Really?
Can I just tell you that I love that, because we've talked on this pod before about how
I have a whole thing about it. I have a full rant.
There are just authors that never allow two opposite gender friends to be friends.
They're friends, and a lot of people. I thought people would understand, because Ollie in my mind is just a friend. Like even when I'm writing him, it never crossed my mind that they would be a thing. And so I'm just writing it like, oh, it's fine. And then everyone that reads it are like, there's this love triangle, and I'm like, what love triangle? Oh, and I was like, Ollie. Oh, everyone thinks Ollie's gonna be the second guy, and I'm like, he's not in this at all. There is a love triangle, but it doesn't happen until book 2. So
the love triangle is not Sabera, Jasper, and Mid. What?
No.
So do you bring another boy in? Do you bring another guy in?
Yeah. So book 2, you will be meeting another man.
You know what?
And I was like, yeah, nobody thought that I would do that, but that's how the story's always been.
I'm just going to be mad already. I just know it. And I'm going to be mad because it's not a solution, right, to me.
No,
from this to the next one, I want a solution from this to the next one.
Not
problems, dude. Don't give me more problems.
I know, it's so bad.
Just like the conflict
that's so great, though. It's so great. I'm going to love every second of the agony. I'm going to love it.
The conflict it creates between the sisters, like that's what's original.
Yes.
That's what's original, because she's doing the good little sister thing by saying, you gotta marry my sister. Yeah. But like, then they get attacked. So do they get married?
So you find out right when, in the second book, the very first chapters of the second book, you find out that it didn't go down.
Yes!
Got interrupted.
She still has a chance!
Yeah, so I had to leave it on a cliffhanger, and so it doesn't end up happening. It doesn't end up happening.
She's like, but no spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. I'm like, but yeah. So there is that love triangle with like Mid and Jasper and Sabera, but Mid has always only really wanted to be Sabera, and then Ollie and Sabera, never a thing. Even though like I know a lot of people like Ollie. Ollie ends up with someone completely different. I know. Yeah. So so Jasper calls him beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And she's like, ew. What? Yeah. But she does admit to him later on, like that maybe she like as a kid thought that he was like cute, you know? Mm-hmm. But it's like never, they couldn't see each other that way. Not that way.
He's like watching her get dressed, and she's
so my mom hated that. So she's 17 in the thing.
Beef with that.
She was so mad at me because I was like, well, they're they're literally like just so brother and sister vibes. He doesn't see her that
gentleman
way.
would stay
That's
in the
true.
room and turn around.
That's true. That's true. I probably
He's
should have
like watching
turn around.
her in the mirror as she's like taking off her clothes.
I'm imagining like
direct eye contact.
That's so bad. I know. I probably should go back and change that. But I was like in my head when I was writing it, I was like, oh, he's just gonna help her, pass her thing. She's gonna get changed. He's not even gonna be like, because they're just so used to each other. But that's just the way that I always have had it. As a kid, I had it that way.
Okay.
But now I know. Apparently, not everybody sees Ollie the way I do.
You didn't see it with the parent eye. You didn't see it with the parent eye.
No, I definitely didn't. And I was just like, oh, Ollie is there. And he just is always, yeah. But I didn't ever picture her being like completely unclothed. I was like, but I probably should have just had him turn around. Yeah.
Turn around.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go tonight and just turn him around and then just I'll republish it. It'll be in there. Yeah,
okay,
it'll be fine.
But then if you do that, you need to slide in a little,
Book
author's
besties.
note. Thank
Like,
you.
Yes.
a little asterisk at the bottom of the page, a little asterisk.
Yes.
Dedicated to the Book Besties.
Absolutely.
All right. So there is a curse in the series. We've talked about this a couple of times. It's threatening the kingdom and the stone-hearted people, all the kingdoms. And Bear will come out as our reluctant hero with the guidance of her mother's ghost, which was interesting. Mid and Ollie will also be,
Mid and Ollie.
Yeah. So I'm going to spoil the ending. I've already done it. Like, she kind of comes out of the tree, the granting tree, after talking to her mother's ghost.
This girl is on fire.
Literally, she was on fire. All right, so what was it like?
I'm not trying to embarrass you, Kendra, I swear.
It's working. What was it like to write that scene for you? Like, what was that feeling?
Oh, it was the ending, and I finally had written the ending. It took me so long to get to that point that it was just like relief, honestly, that I was finally to this point. And I don't know, it just was always how it was. I always pictured it that way. I always pictured her rising up from it and being Aaron. And so that's kind of the way that it goes. I don't know. It felt amazing. I really did enjoy the way that it went. And I liked that I could bring in the spirits into it and show that the spirits are like exist and that they can show themselves, and because it will come into play later and things like that. So I just liked it. It was fun. I don't know. One of my favorite parts.
Now, does she continue to go by Aaron through the rest of the series?
Yes. Until, of course, she'll be Aaron to a lot of people. And then she will eventually go back to being known as kind of like Sabera. But it's only when she kind of has changed and morphed and decided that she can go by that name again. And you'll kind of see why throughout the series, that she just kind of rejects the name for a long time. She doesn't like to be associated with it for quite a bit. So she takes on Aaron as like almost this lifeline to be someone different. But eventually, like, people will use her name, like both of them simultaneously.
Right.
So right now in Ascended, like someone calls her Sparrow, someone calls her Aaron. So
I know that she took that name because that's her mom's name, but I also like that she took that name because that's the name Mid knew her by, and I'm like,
yeah.
That last quarter of the book is always the hardest to write.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the book. It's hard because you see the end, right? Like you can see the light at the tunnel, you know where you're going with it, and yet there's, 5K pages you want to, or 5K words you want to knock out, right? There's just a little bit more, that needs to fill that space, and you just need to find a way to get it there.
Yeah, it is true. It was just like, I gotta get this. I gotta just finish it.
Yeah.
So, but
it's one of the hardest things, getting that out of your dome.
Yeah,
and getting it onto the page.
It was a fun scene to write and to finally be finished with it after all that time. But
So the next set of questions that I had was really about like the series as a whole, but we've kind of answered a lot of them. So I just have a question for my own brain. Like, I felt like there were some vibes between Shar and Ambrosine.
Ambrosin, yes.
Ambrosin.
Some you could say it either way. Ambrosin, Ambrosin.
Are there vibes there? Like is he like it? Are they like is he Son's dad, or is he like like is that a thing? Did that happen?
You are catching on to a lot of stuff.
Yes!
Normally. But that stuff is definitely not, like, I literally am in the 4th book and have not revealed that yet until 4. So
wow.
Good catch, April.
Yeah,
I texted Molly. I was like, I really think that this guy.
I was getting that vibe too, but I was like, yeah, the just his just demeanor in general,
and it was something she said too. She talked about how like she kind of picks up on Sabera and Mid's like vibes with each other, and she's like, you don't like, it's not easy to make this decision. Like this isn't something you take lightly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, I'm pretty sure Char's in love with her. And she's in love with him, and she married some other guy to obligation, and that Son's really not that guy. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, you really picked up on that whole thing. It's definitely there.
I have an English degree.
She has an English degree. Don't take it personal.
That is definitely, yes.
She's always the person you want to read your pages. If you were like, is this obvious? Yes or no?
I did try and make it a little obvious because I wanted people to pick up on like their love.
But it's not. I mean, she dug for it. She found it.
That's good though.
So did I just ruin it? Did I ruin it?
No, there's gonna be so much that you'll still have to.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like unveil.
Oh my gosh.
Especially with like all the other side stuff that doesn't come into play, like Obsidian and stuff. That's going to be really intense too.
Yeah, I'm interested with that story. Like the fact that he's her cousin, like that was crazy to me.
Oh, that was what my kid Piper was obsessed with that. That is like, she's like, can you believe it? She's talking about it like it's the Kardashians. She's like, they're related. And I go, my theory, Piper Addison, is that his parent is probably the sibling to the mom. And after the mom died, they separate, the families don't talk anymore. And she's like, she's so about the drama.
Yeah, it is dramatic. The family drama is crazy.
It gets great.
And it's not just like the drama. It's that like his gift is so incredibly dark compared to the gifts. You're trying not to tell us things.
Oh
like,
gosh.
I can talk about the writing, ask her about the writing process.
Yes, that's fine.
Just so, I just love hearing this all because it's just, I love it. When you read it, it's going to just be that much better because you guys have already thought really deeply. So I hope that some of your theories will
pan out for us.
Yeah.
She's like, I ain't telling you shit.
If it doesn't, we're just going to DM you and complain.
Because we're pals now.
I feel like we have that relationship now.
We're pals now.
Listen, Molly and I, we have to read a pretty rigorous schedule in order to keep up for pod. And literally both of us texted each other, let's just quit for a little bit so we can read the rest of Kendra's series.
Oh, I'm not shitting you. We talked about ending the season early to finish the series.
We're going to have 2 weeks in December. Just let's read really fast so we can read the rest of it.
Oh my goodness.
And then I went to pre-order the 4th book, and apparently Google Play Store has some issues with Amazon, and I couldn't order it.
Oh,
so
no.
I can order it from the Amazon website. So if you are listening to this podcast and you're trying to order Kendra's new book or any of her books, and you have an Android phone, you have to use the Amazon website, not the Amazon app.
Or I learned on her website that she has signed copies.
What? Yeah. Okay, well, now I want a signed copy.
Go to her website, get a signed copy. Buy from Kendra directly. So
I want a signed copy.
So you started writing at 12?
Yeah.
So when did your writing journey start for you?
Yeah, when 6th grade, I read I would read a ton, got really into reading, and I was like, I gotta write, and I wrote fan fiction to the stories that I really loved, and then eventually it just started morphing into my own stuff, and then I wanted to do my own.
Who was your fanfic about?
So it's a series called Wings.
Okay.
By April and Pike. And so that's where originally everything started to come from.
Wait a minute. Did I read her name in your author's note? Did you?
She is the dedication in book 2.
Okay,
Oh.
I dedicate
what I saw
the
then.
book to her in book 2 because
That's
she
very
is
lovely.
really the reason that it all kind of went down. So
That's awesome.
yeah, she's incredible. I love that series. It's my heart series.
That's awesome. So you're self-taught then as a writer? You know, like your education isn't writing and English based then?
No, I wanted to go to school for English, but that just didn't end up happening.
You don't want to go to school for English.
We both have English degrees. They're boring.
It's just full of a bunch of pretentious people that say, this book tries too hard. It's so annoying.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. I know other people write without them.
My husband could put a clip together of her and I saying that probably for 3 minutes.
Both of us have said that on the podcast.
Oh, that's so funny.
Writing is a special skill. It's not something that you're learned. Having the writer's voice and having that calling that you have isn't something we all can have. So for you to answer it, it's awesome, dude.
We read a book recently, a few weeks ago, that we covered on Pod, that the author had her MFA, her Master's of Fine Arts. And my biggest complaint is that she wrote like an author that had her Master's of Fine Arts. Like, it's just so pretentious without needing to be pretentious. But we didn't actually talk about this at the top of the episode, but what is your day job?
I'm a dental hygienist.
Dental hygienist! Like,
very cool.
By the way, like, I don't know how you find the time to be a dental hygienist, write these kick-ass books, and record all of your reels, because, like, damn, girl.
I know.
The hustle.
What is your day like? What is your day like? Like, is it insane?
So I only work 2 days a week as a hygienist.
Okay.
And so the other days of the week, I literally get up and I edit other people's manuscripts and then I write in the evenings. So
so are you editor on the side?
So I'm not like editor. I critique manuscripts. So I have like this little academy that people can join and they just send me their work and then I will like critique it. So I do that in the morning for like a couple hours. I'll just critique manuscripts and then in the evenings is when I really get my writing in because that's when I like to write the most.
So you don't sleep is what you're telling me.
Yeah. No, I do. I do. I just sometimes will just stay up really late. Sometimes. But it's just the time for me is late in the evening. I wish I was a morning writer, but I'm not. So, but the rest of the morning is other stuff and then I write in the evenings. And then work those 2 days hygiene. But.
Are you a pantser or are you more of a structured writer?
So I do like outlining a couple chapters at a time, but it's not really an outline at all. It's just like I put a little summary of what needs to happen. It's like a paragraph. It'll be like, Sabera needs to do this and this person needs to do this. And I'll do that for like,
That's usually how I do it.
Yeah, I do that for like 5 chapters until my brain stops and then I write it and then keep going. Rarely do I jump around. Sometimes I do. If I really cannot write a scene, I will just skip it and keep going. It's like the second book, I wrote everything except for the very middle. And so there was like these 3 scenes in the middle I left alone. I just did not want to write it. I was so reluctant. But it was fine when I sat down to actually do it. But so rarely do I jump. I try to stick pretty linear if I can.
Yeah.
But,
I'm a linear writer, but I'm a pantser. I don't do the whole notebook. I have notebooks. I try every time. Yeah. I try to get organized. Let me tell you what I try. I did the cork board. I've done the whole wall thing. Like, I don't know how those people do full, like, long draft outlines with the note cards and everything and then just, like, jumping. I can't either. Like, it feels like too much pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too hard. I can't think on that kind of wave.
So what's next for you after this last book comes out?
I'm taking a break from the fantasy stuff and I'm going into probably a romantic comedy. I've written half of it, but I have not completed quite yet. So,
when you're ready to publish, you're welcome to bring it on.
Oh, yeah.
We'd love to have you come on.
We'd love to have you come on.
I'm going to try and traditionally publish this one. So it's going to probably be a long road. Yeah. But I finally feel like my writing's at a point where like I could probably potentially maybe. I don't know. I've never done it, but they're both really hard. And I was like, let's just try this a different hard for a minute.
I mean, my degree is in creative writing. I learned about the process in school and it is tedious.
It is.
Well, and I mean, it's hard too. As many books as published in a year, there are a million more that are
Oh,
not.
yes.
And there are tons of authors. I mean, let's use Harry Potter for an example. J.K. Rowling got a lot of rejections, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And her series is literally beloved by everybody but me across the world.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the only person that still doesn't like it, but whatever.
Yeah.
I stand by it. So, I mean, like when we talked to Chezzy, the interesting thing was, like, she had an agent before she graduated high school, which is so rare.
Wow.
Like, that doesn't happen.
And she knows it too. She's like, yeah, I know it's a fluke and it's amazing. Right.
And so she had an agent before she graduated high school. And when she got her publishing deal for her first novel, it was a 3-book deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had to write 2 more books, and she didn't have 2 more books. Wow. So like, those are things you don't think about. And like, I've listened to a lot of John Green's like talks, watched a lot of his videos where he talks about like how he got published. So he wrote for a like book literary magazine, like a book review magazine, and one of his bosses, like the editor, was like, hey, you're a really good writer, you should try to actually like publish your work. And people always assume that he went to school to be a writer because he has a college degree. He actually went to college. He went to school. He wanted to go to seminary school. So
how weird is that? Right?
Yeah. So he actually worked at a children's hospital as the chaplain. And that sort of turned him off from it, just like seeing, the devastation. But one of the things he talks about is when he got published for the first time, like, that process was just lengthy and hard. And how fortunate he feels now that, like, he's an author that his name is instantly recognizable, right? Like, so Chezzy, we love her. Her books are amazing. Like, we've covered 2 of her books on the pod. She's coming again in November.
But she's just going to read with us.
But we're going to do a book that's a favorite of hers and instead of one of her books. But like, her name isn't one that's necessarily like instantly recognizable, like John Green or James Patterson. Oh, fuck that guy.
But you can find her in a library if you walk in any public library.
So, like, I feel like, I guess my long-winded version is to say that don't give up, because like, I think so many people, and I will say that this may have been true at one time, but I think so many people think, oh, independent author, self-published author, it's not as good. And that's just frankly not accurate anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, self-publishing used to be something completely different until ebooks became what they are. And I've read several series through my Amazon Kindle, like when Kindle first became a thing, before they even had their subscription services, like where you had to buy each book. Mm-hmm. And it's just not the same as it was before ebooks.
No.
And what you're writing, it's totally comparable to what is on the shelves of stores. So
facts.
Definitely don't stop. Hustle.
Thank you.
Come back and we'll read your rom-com with you, because
you're a book bestie now yourself, dude.
Yeah. It's how it is.
You're a book bestie yourself. So we were talking about this. April's favorite author is John Green. Mine is Deborah Harkness. Actually, I know Dr. Harkness. I kind of know her. She's inspired me in my writing. John Green.
He won't return my emails.
I mean, we're trying. Aww. We're really trying, John. If you hear us, John Green, every season goes on. But who's your like idol role model when it comes to writing? Like, who do you like? Do you read a lot, or is there someone like that? Their goal and trajectory is like, man, I love that for them, and I want that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have the ones that are like, that made me a writer, but then there's also people like recently that so like, obviously April and Pike helped me get into it. So she's like amazing. I love her.
Number one, obviously.
Yeah. But I love, like, recently I've really loved like Ali Hazelwood, who does the
yeah,
that's the vibe that my rom-com's going for. So that's kind of who I've been idolizing right now, and who I'm kind of trying to chase after. I'm like, I want that vibe.
It's so good.
Listen, I am obsessed with Ali Hazelwood and Emily Henry, like all things them. Like, Ali Hazelwood released an Adam chapter from
Oh yes.
And like I read it during my lunch break at work because I just
She did.
couldn't. I'm a children's librarian. I'm sitting in my car reading smut on my break because I was just like, yes, I need this in my life.
So funny. Oh my goodness.
But Allie Hazelwood, like, it's just so smart, you know?
Yeah. Smart.
And I mean, I don't mean that just because like she's writing like STEM people.
Yeah,
right.
Like it's just smart writing, and it's hot.
Romance used to be paperbacks in the grocery store that our grandmothers used to buy,
Right.
and now romance is this thing
with Fabio on the cover, like with his nipples
now
out.
Romance is this thing that we all write, we all read, we all consume, right? Like,
well, I think a lot of it has to do with. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that this generation of authors, so like your millennials, they grew up with things like Twilight, which is like, it's romance. Like, I understand that it's paranormal romance, but it's romance. And so you're writing this book has a romantic element to it, right? And like almost every book that millennials grew up reading, I mean, even Harry Potter has a romantic element to it.
Yeah.
And so now we're all adults and we're like, all right, bring on the hot, steamy sex scenes. Like, come on.
I mean, they were reading, they're reading fanfic. I mean, what else did they do on Tumblr in 2010 other than read fanfic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So funny.
I mean,
it's true.
I'm older.
See, you know?
I mean, I'm older than that group because I'm 40, almost 41. But like, we had a bookstagrammer on in September, Alexa, Matt Cozy Blanket reads, and that's what she talked about, like the books that she grew up reading, right? So she grew up reading Twilight. And so what is she reading now as an adult? Contemporary romance.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what these kids are like, my kids' generation does. Because like Piper's jam is Chris Colfer and Percy Jackson. And like that's all those kids are reading. Well, I think that kind of like high fantasy stuff.
Well, and I think the other thing is, I think why romance is becoming so more accessible is because it used to be like almost shameful to read paperback romance, right?
Yeah,
like
they keep them in their purses, but they don't.
So like, there's that episode of Friends where like Joey finds Rachel's book under her pillow, and like,
you read porn,
right? So like, there's that whole thing, and like now, like my husband is like, go read your smut books. He doesn't care, right? And it's not because like it inspires great sex between us. It's because I like it. You know what I mean? I like the writing. I think it's interesting. I just want to shut my brain off, and that's what those books give me. So, yeah.
I love it.
I need to stop talking. I'm just like,
we're talking about romance.
No, I'm excited. It's a fun genre. I like it way more than fantasy right now. So
yeah. Well, I'm sure you're exhausted from fantasy too, because you've just spent since you were 12.
Writing. You've been building this world. Yeah.
Too long. I'm like,
you're ready to get out of that world. That's understandable.
Oh yeah.
So what day is Ascended is the last one? Yes. What day is it releasing?
The 12th of November.
November 12th. All right, so that's a little over a month from when this episode premieres. So go pre-order it. Go to Kendra's website. We'll put it below, and then you can cut out Amazon. They don't need your money, and you can give Kendra the money directly and get a signed copy, which is
and the Shoota Boops it'll be in.
Okay, so one thing I did want to talk about, and then I think we can wrap up unless Molly had more questions. I wanted to talk about your covers because they're
gorgeous.
You have gorgeous cover art. It gives me vibes of like the Selection series, like the gorgeous dresses. So, oh my gosh, that's her rising out of the ashes like a phoenix.
Kinda.
For Christmas lights on a dress.
Yes.
Okay, well, whatever, Molly. So can you tell us about your covers?
Yeah, so the images come from a photographer. She's a Russian photographer. And I just bought the images from her, and then I put the title on and all of that fun stuff onto it. But yeah, I just loved the image. So I just tried to contact her, and thankfully there was a way to contact her and purchase the license to use it, because I was like, these are already so wonderful. I don't need to do anything really to them. So I just, that's how it came to be. I just was scrolling through.
Do you already have the new covers?
I do, Ascended is out. The cover's available. I don't have a physical copy yet.
That's okay.
Well, she did post. You did review the cover on Instagram, though. Yeah.
So if you want to go see it, it's a cloak with constellations on it, and it's an interesting. It's my favorite, probably. They're all so wonderful, but it's super fun. Yeah. So the covers.
I honestly, Kendra, I'm trying to convince my husband that I need to buy a new Kindle so I can read the books. I don't even read on my Kindle. Like, I don't do that. I buy physical books.
She must have been in that house for years, and until we started pod, she had to go looking for it.
I had lost it for months. Guess where it was? On my bookshelf, where it belongs. But
in her office, where we film.
I don't know. But I'm like, I've had this since my 9-year-old was like a couple weeks old. Like, it's an original Kindle paperweight.
Kindle,
real old. Like, it's not supported anymore. And I'm like, I need a new one because I need to read Kendra's books. So
I'm glad you guys liked it. I was worried.
No, it's really good. It's really good.
It is.
Anything else, Molly?
No. What's that website, Kendra? So everybody, if they're listening to us, they can pop it into their phones.
The website for my website is just KendraThomasBooks.com.
KendraThomasBooks.com. Okay, and we're going to put it below too. And we've been putting it the past 2 weeks. We told you guys to buy this book. We weren't joking. Buy the book.
Buy the fucking book.
Buy it. Listen, we just buy it.
Read it with your tween. You looking for something to read with them? You don't like Hunger Games? Go grab this.
I don't know how you can't like Hunger Games, but you
there's
could
people.
Still read
or you don't want to read Harry Potter with them? Don't fucking read Harry Potter. Read this.
There you go.
There you go. I fixed it. You like that?
Fixed it. All right. So, Kendra, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I mean, this has just been fun to chat about my books.
Oh my
I never
gosh.
get to talk about them like this, so it's just fun to do.
Well, hey, you are welcome back anytime.
You want to come and talk about another book? We don't even have to talk about your books. We can talk about a book you like to read.
Please come hang out with us because we're this
cool.
has been great.
Yeah.
We're cool. All right, so the rest of this month we've got coming up next week. We have The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk. I do not have a copy of that one. I did the audiobook, so there it is. If you are looking on YouTube, that is the cover. C.L. Polk has written a lot of adult fantasy, so this is the first one we're covering by her. It is a female author, an African-American female author.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. I was really shocked when I was looking at her bio. I was like, oh, wow.
She's got a shit ton of books, dude.
Well,
like shit ton of books.
You see authors with initials, and I just went, man. But then I thought it was a weird, when you read that book, you'll know why I was like, a man wrote this. And then it made more sense when
I saw her initials and I was like, isn't that the guy that wrote Midnight Circus? And then I remembered it wasn't the same
that's
author.
Aaron Morgenstern. All right, so after Midnight Bargain, then we're going to cover this book, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart.
So
I've read this one before, and Molly it's her first time. I picked this one specifically for Molly.
The words and the verbiage and the way this author writes is just...
You just want to eat her words. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a bowl of cereal. What did
I text you? She was describing the way this girl...
I don't know, sugar, cinnamon, something or other.
So she was describing, like, this person, and she used descriptive words in a way I would never use them for it. She is a mixture of... It's in our text. It's...
Molly,
like,
we can talk about it in 2 weeks. Girl.
It's fine.
We're over an hour.
I know.
All right. And then we're going to wrap out October with the Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Modolsky. And this one, last year we did spooky reads in October, and this year we did not do that. But actually, these two books maybe fall under both that category. This one definitely does.
Spooky adjacent?
Well, this one is pretty spooky.
But the other one's spooky adjacent.
Sure. Anyway, so...
I hate when you do that.
Molly, I'm really just trying to wrap up,
Close
girl.
it up. I know. I'm going to shut up.
Girl, I love you, but
shut the fuck up. I got you. I'm good.
Kendra, thank you so much for joining us.
We've had so much fun. We're so glad you're here.
This has been awesome. And we'll see you all next time, okay?
Bye!
Thank you for joining us on Book Besties with special guest, author of the Granted series, Kendra Thomas. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly, April, and not anyone else. Today's book was the Granted series by Kendra Thomas. Your Book Besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins, editing by Thomas Watkins, and music is Sleep Sweetly by Prigida. Don't forget to follow Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. If you'd like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com or visit our website at bookbestiespodcast.com.